Hey guys, it's Miss Philly. I wanted to do a video finally about my Cadillac Escalade, why I bought it, how much it cost, all that good stuff. So when I was shopping around for an SUV, I was looking for something that had a third row seating because I do have a lot of family and siblings that I go out with, and we do a lot of trips and we go to a lot of places. So I wanted something that was kind of like a minivan capable without actually being a minivan. I wanted like an SUV. Along with being an SUV, I was looking for something that had like was like luxury, because Mozilla is luxury. Okay, luxury. I like luxury. Uh, uh. So the options I looked at were obviously the Cadillac Escalade, and this was 2013, the year that I was looking for an SUV, a luxury SUV. I tried the Mercedes GL, the BMW X5, the Lincoln Navigator, Range Rover Sport, the Lexus R something, RX 350 or something, like a Lexus SUV. And what else did I look at? Oh, an Acadia Touring, I believe. I also looked at basically the price range I was looking at was between 60,000 to 100,000. So after test driving a lot of things, I found the BMW just not to be me. It was just a little bit too sporty and a little bit kind of like you could turn corners and it wouldn't be, it was sharp turning corners. And then I thought the Lincoln Navigator looked a little bit, grandpa-ish. And then the Range Rover was out of budget. I ain't no Kim Kardashian. Lexus sold out, so I never even got to see that. I saw one in the showroom, but it was already sold. But I mean, I never got to test drive it, but I did get a chance to look at it, and it was pretty and nice and a good budget, good price point as well. I looked at the Mercedes. I really like the Mercedes. But then I saw everybody driving one, and I don't know. I looked at a different model, the B200. I think it looked kind of like a station wagon, but not really. It was nice, and it was, what was it? I think it was like a hybrid or some fuel efficient kind of thingy where you could use diesel with it along with gasoline or something like that. And I can't remember. This is like 3 years ago. And then what I loved about the B200 or B2000, I don't know what it was. It was a Mercedes. Was that you had a button that can push you up and down. Like it would elevate the vehicle when you had to go over some rugged terrain, which I thought was kind of nifty and cool. And I loved that it looked very luxury. But the Mercedes dealership was just not willing to budge on price and not willing to throw anything in. And me being an Asian, I need things, okay? I ain't paying no full price for anything. When I buy something, you take off some money and you give me things. And he basically said, I can sell this in a heartbeat. I ain't doing nothing. Like free oil changes, free floor mats, a keychain, a t-shirt. No, nothing. So I was like, eat my ass, I'm going somewhere else. And when that happened, I was like, well, you know what? I had already test drove the Cadillac Escalade and I really, really love it. The first vehicle I test drove out of everything was the Cadillac Escalade. And I fell in love. Like, it was basically my dream car since I saw it in an Usher video back in like 2001. And then from there, I didn't want to jump the gun, so I wanted to see something, it was kind of like, dating. It's like, you do one, and then you push them aside, then you do a lot of other guys until you find the right one. So I wanted to explore my options, and I test drove the BMW, the Navigator, the Mercedes, the Acadia, and I was like, my heart just kept going back to the Escalade. And then I finally decided that I wanted to go with the Escalade because not only were they taking a lot of money off the price, but they were also going to throw in free oil changes for 5 years, floor mats, keychains, mugs, a cap, and just a bunch of crap, that they were willing to throw in. A free tank of gas. I don't care what it was or how minute it was monetarily. If it's free, I want it. So we decided on that. But the thing is, I ain't no rich. Okay, so I did have to get my parent to co-sign with me. I went over the budget. We went over the budget. We went over everything, finances and all that stuff. And it was going to work. It was going to work in our budget. The listing price of the vehicle was $92,000. There's three base models for the Cadillac Escalade, the 2013. There is the base model, there is the premium model, there is the luxury model, and the platinum model. So I guess there's four. Or maybe there's just no luxury. Sometimes I've seen listings that say luxury, but I don't know if that means premium. Either way, I've seen base, premium, luxury, and platinum. And the premium and luxury are kind of in the mid end. And the vehicle was pretty much pimped out when it comes to features. It had everything like moonroof, navigation, OnStar, Bluetooth, leather heated seats, cool seats, leather wrapped steering wheel, mechanical sideboards. It had Wi-Fi, 3G, 4G network. It had a blind spot alert. It has power, like basically everything. Except the only difference between that and the top of the line model was that the leather was different on the platinum model. There was the Cadillac insignia embroidered into the headrests, and there was a cup holder that was heated and cooled, that cooled and heated your drinks. And the, what do you call it, the entertainment system had monitors on the headrests. And that's, I think, the only difference between the mid to the high end model. When push came to shove, the listing price was $92,000. We ended up getting it for $82,000, and then all that free stuff that was included in it, as well as like the free maintenance and oil changes for 5 years. And we also, but after like, we also got warranty. I'm sorry, we got tire protection, and which I recommend, and paint protection and fabric leather protection for inside. I think that was like an extra like 3 or 4 grand. So after that, interest rates and taxes and all the fees, it basically went from 82,000 to $99,000. When I first got the vehicle, I was super pimped about it. I was like, yay, whatever. It was so cool. And, I would get looks from people. People would, stop and stare, and I mean, yeah, it's just a Cadillac Escalade, but I mean, it's a car. It's not like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or whatever. But, when it comes to SUVs, it's pretty, like, in my opinion, it's pretty much, creme de la creme. I think that Cadillac Escalade is just synonymous with American, luxury. With, I mean, like in the early 2000s, that's all rappers, promoted was, Cadillac Escalade, Cadillac Grail, whatever. So it always had been my dream car. When I got it, I was, pimped about it. I would go out driving, and, people would look and stare and comment and yell, and, it was cool. And it made me feel better about myself because I had lacked confidence and all that stuff. But as the years rolled by, and the months rolled by, I started to realize that the price of paying $1,550 a month on a vehicle was not a smart choice. It was, to be honest, a stupid choice, especially since I don't have the finances to allocate toward that. Now, granted, I did get help from my mother paying it, so that helped tremendously. And if I could turn back time, I probably would not have gotten it. I mean, at this moment, I don't have it anymore. I returned it. My lease was up. My lease would have been up next year in August. But because I kept the kilometers low, or the mileage low, I think when I received it, it only had maybe about 100, no, maybe like 60. No, 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 I'm wrong. About 150 kilometers on it. And then I kept it at 15,000 kilometers, the mileage. So in 3 years, I had only put on 15,000 kilometers on the mileage, which is basically kind of unheard of usually, because people usually put on about 10 to 15,000 kilometers on the mileage every year. And in 3 years, I only put on 15,000. It would have been less than that, but because I took a road trip to Minneapolis, so I would have probably been 2,000 kilometers less than what I had if I didn't do that road trip. I just decided that I was done paying the monthly of the 1550, and I called the dealership to see what options I had. And because the kilometers and mileage was really, really low, they were willing to take back the vehicle without having any negative equity. And negative equity means that I would have to pay them to return the vehicle, because when you buy a vehicle, you basically, like, it depreciates greatly, like when you drive it off the lot, it just depreciates immediately. And then because I also kept the car pristine, like no dents or no rips or no burns or no, like the car was pretty much in pristine condition and the maintenance on it was impeccable, they basically bought it back for what we still owed. And I think I still owed about 55,000 after 3 years. So they took it back for that amount, which I've never even heard of that before. Usually, like, even the manager said, you know what? Usually when people return a lease and their lease isn't up, they would have to pay us, in negative equity to break their lease. But because you kept the car in great condition and because you kept the mileage very low, you will just take it as a trade, and that would be that. And I mean, as a return, and that would be that. And so that was amazing. And I think that happened last month. No, not last month, a month before. I think end of May or beginning of June is when we returned the vehicle. And it just it's just kind of like a weight off your shoulder not having that huge expense. And you shouldn't, nobody should be going into an expenditure like that without actually having the means. And we did have the means, it's just it was not smart. Coming away from that, I'm glad that I was able to experience owning a vehicle like that. I hope to one day, like I aspire to have, to have that kind of vehicle to drive again in my lifetime because, you know, I love that vehicle a lot. It's just, you know, it's roomy, it can fit everybody, it's big, it's not as much of a gas guzzler as people would think, but I personally loved it. And even though I've researched a lot of other SUVs, even like cars and luxury cars, I would still, like, my heart just goes back to the Cadillac Escalade, and I just love that vehicle so much. I think when you're going out buying a car, you know, it depends, like, I think, on you. For me, I rely a lot on materialistic kind of things. You know, I'm very into, like, well, what things look like and the impression it makes, and things like that. I know that's not a really good thing, but it is who I am. And I think after a while the novelty wears off, and then you start realizing that, oh my god, you know, I have to pay $1,500 every month. I mean, that's a Louis Vuitton bag. You know, I could have had like 18 Louis Vuitton bags since no, I'm just kidding. But it's just great that it frees up a lot of cash flow now, for me. And and even like closer to when I was deciding whether or not I wanted to return it, I was thinking, you know, there's a lot of other things I can do with the money. I can buy things that I want. I can travel, and I love to travel. So, you know, it frees that up, and it allows me to do more things, I think, rather than, you know, working and spending money or the majority of your paycheck on a vehicle. Anyway, guys, I hope you like this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Have you guys ever been in that kind of situation? If you did, I would love to hear about it. And, you know, people learn from their lessons, right? And for me, taking, like, what I take away from this is that I'm not going to jump into anything that I know for sure that I can afford. So that's the lesson that Miss Philly has learned. All my social media links will be on the down bar, my Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, vlogging channel, and yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And remember, Miss Philly loves you. Bye, guys.